You can't have children, right? That's why I'm entrusting you with this child. Be grateful. If you can't bear a child, at least contribute to society by raising one. I struggled to comprehend what was being said to me. Then, unbelievably, my sister abandoned her daughter, who was suffering from a rare disease. Is this really what a parent should do? We will make sure this child is happy and make her regret abandoning her, I vowed. My name is Sarah. I'm 28 years old and have been a housewife for 8 years. Initially, my in-laws often pressured us about having children. My friends talked about the wonders of parenthood, yet also mentioned the lack of freedom, sleepless nights, and sacrifices made out of love. But my husband and I despised that notion. It's not that we dislike children, we're just not good with them. That's an undeniable fact. After 8 years, it seemed like everyone realized and stopped bringing it up. I know it's selfish, but right now, I have too many things I want to do and can't devote time to a child. Such parents wouldn't be good for any child. I was raised as an adopted child, so I'm not fixated on blood relations. I even thought about adopting when I got older. My husband, Henry, is understanding. He always says, if we're blessed with a child, I'll mainly take care of it and support you. People who can't have children might envy us, but as someone who was abandoned by her parents, I couldn't be irresponsible. Friends' kids who were in elementary school or kindergarten seemed well-educated and cute. Maybe children born out of desire feel their parents' love. Of course, I consider the two who raised me as my real parents, and I'm grateful for them. I have an older sister who is 2 years my senior. Her name is Linda. Our parents wanted siblings but could only have one, so they adopted me. We got along well when we were young, but she started to dislike me as I had better grades. You wouldn't be compared, and all the money would have been spent on me if you weren't here, she once said. For the sake of my parents' honor, I must say that they showered both of us with love and resources, not just mentally but emotionally too. They never compared us, not once. It was only Linda who felt inferior on her own. She just chose not to study, whereas I did. That led to comparisons, and it was frustrating for me, maybe because she hated studying. Linda decided to pursue a career as an internet idol, using our parents' money to purchase all the necessary equipment. However, she never truly put in the effort. Looking at successful people, one might think it's easy, but it requires relentless work. That was always Linda's problem, underestimating things. Despite not lacking in looks, Linda had her fans, and among them, the most generous was Mark. They ended up in a shotgun marriage, perhaps because Linda thought he was wealthy. Unfortunately, it turned out he was in debt from spending on her. Even our parents hesitated, but not wanting to see their grandchild suffer, they paid off his debts and secured him a job. The job paid well. With Linda and her husband's lives finally stabilizing, unfortunately, Linda's poor financial sense persisted, preventing them from saving anything. Then, one day, Linda's daughter, Karen, suddenly fell ill. There were signs earlier, but Linda's reluctance to seek medical help due to stinginess had delayed intervention. When I arrived after Linda's urgent call, Karen was lying in bed connected to tubes. I was informed that Karen's kidneys were failing, and they wanted me to get tested to see if I was a match. While I would have refused if it were just for Linda's sake, I was fond of Karen. She was remarkably sensible for a 7-year-old, and I often thought of her as the kind of daughter I'd like. Despite my expectations, I turned out to be a match. Please, I'll definitely make it up to you. Save Karen, Linda begged. I wanted to believe her sincerity, so I agreed to the test. After the successful operation, Karen was out of danger. However, the real challenges emerged afterward. Linda hadn't insured Karen, leading to substantial medical costs. Then Linda approached me again, pleading for financial assistance. I can't ask our parents anymore, and I need this to be kept secret, she confided. I wondered about Mark's role, given his decent salary from the job Dad had found for him. But Linda sneered. That salary is nothing if our parents find out about our spending. Mark might get fired, and we'd be on the streets. Is that what you want? though tempted to agree, especially with Karen's health at stake. I couldn't bear to see her being used as a pawn. I'll lend you the money, but you have to write a promissory note, I insisted. Linda reluctantly agreed, signing the note without bothering to read it. Reflecting on this, I realized why Linda never managed to save any money. Her habit of exploiting situations, even her daughter's illness, was despicable. Despite having such parents, Karen turned out well, which impressed me greatly. After that, I began visiting Karen's hospital room more often. Was it because I had donated a kidney or because I had lent them money? No, it was out of pity for Karen. Karen mentioned to me that I visited more frequently than Linda, who now seemed to regard me with coldness. After a lengthy course of treatment, Karen ended up needing a wheelchair for mobility. Then, on the day she was to be discharged, an incident occurred. An unknown number called, and since it was my day off, I answered. "Hello, is this Sarah's phone?" "This is General Hospital," the voice said. "Karen's hospital. Thank you." "You have the right number," I replied. "Sorry to bother you, but Karen's hospital bill is unpaid, and today she's supposed to be discharged. But no one has come for her, and we can't reach her parents." A sudden chill ran down my spine, and my heart clenched. Without realizing it, I was already on my way to the hospital. I got into a taxi and called Linda. "What are you doing today? Is today Karen's discharge day?" I couldn't stay calm and ended up shouting. "Can you lower your voice?" "I can hear you," Linda replied calmly. "I don't want that kid, so I'm giving her to you. It's perfect since you can't have children, right? If you can't have your own, at least contribute to society by raising one." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "You're the worst, just like my birth parents. You don't deserve to be a parent," I exclaimed. "And what about the hospital bills?" I could hear Linda's laughter over the phone. "Sorry, I spent it. It's hard to resist when you suddenly get a lot of money. I've been wanting to do something for a while. It's useless to tell Mark. He can't go against me. He married an idol like he wanted. He can't resist me. He's fine with getting rid of the child anyway. We can't pay, so if you don't take her, she might as well be gone, right?" I felt a surge of anger and betrayal. I don't remember, but maybe my birth parents were like this, I thought. This is my battle of mourning, a revenge against the parents who abandoned me, more than anything. I couldn't bear the thought of handing Karen over to Linda. "Fine, I'll pay the hospital bills and take Karen as my child. Consider it a severance payment," I declared. "Really? I was worried about how to repay the money I borrowed." "But you'll pay that too?" Linda's heartless reasoning appalled me. With a total of $100,000 gained and a chance to reset my life, the idea of abandoning a daughter in a wheelchair to have another child solely for future support felt utterly repugnant. I didn't want to continue the conversation. I hung up, apologizing profusely to the hospital, completing the payment promptly, and arranging, through lawyers, a private adoption for Karen to officially become our child. When Karen officially became ours, I was apprehensive about Henry's reaction. To my relief, he embraced the decision warmly. "That's why I love you," he said tenderly. "I can't forgive Linda either. A family of 3 will surely be fun." His words moved me to tears. I felt immensely grateful to have married such a wonderful person. My parents probably thought it was best for Karen's rehabilitation and care to be with us. They even offered to help. Linda seemed somewhat resentful, perhaps worried about our parents discovering the truth about the money. She didn't dare visit. When I honestly explained the situation to Karen, she surprised me with her calm acceptance. "So Mom and Dad never visited me. Now, Sarah, you're my mom." "Sorry if I'm not used to it yet," she said softly. Though she accepted it outwardly, I could sense her silent tears. I used to think I had so many things I wanted to do, but now, Karen has become my reason for living. Having been involved with her since birth, albeit indirectly, it didn't take long for me to develop deep affection. Witnessing a young child struggling and crying during rehabilitation, even if she's not my biological child, filled me with determination to support her. Karen was a real trooper, finding ways to overcome obstacles with her indomitable spirit. Despite her disability, Karen always gave her best, and I, consumed by supporting her to the fullest, forgot about the money concerns. With the unwavering support of my parents, Karen grew rapidly through rehabilitation. She gained some movement in her right leg, still relying on a wheelchair but becoming more capable with each passing day. When Karen turned 9, she expressed a desire to emulate a particular person. By then, she had grown accustomed to calling me Mom and Henry Dad. She showed me a video of a blind pianist. That's cool, but it must be hard, right? Don't you need a special sense for that? I asked. To my astonishment, Karen opened a piano app on her tablet and effortlessly played the piece from the video. Did you practice a lot? I inquired. Well, I just listened and remembered it. It's kind of like I just get it, she explained. Impressed, I asked her to play a commercial jingle from TV, and once again, she flawlessly reproduced it after hearing it just once. That's incredible. Maybe you have perfect pitch, I mused. Excitedly, I showed Henry, who was equally amazed. Let's buy a grand piano and maybe build a bigger room for it. Perhaps we should consider building a new house, he suggested. Over the next 2 years, Henry had become a devoted father, always spoiling Karen. 5 years later, Linda reached out through our parents, prompting a discussion. I left the kids with my parents and met Linda and Mark in the living room of my childhood home, careful not to reveal our current address. What do you want? I asked bluntly, noticing the drastic changes in Linda's appearance. You moved away and cut off all contact. And what's with that figure? I hardly recognize you, I added. My parents had informed me that Linda was amidst divorce proceedings due to infidelity, and she had gained weight from overeating and drinking. Mark was there, seemingly coerced by Linda. He probably wanted to see his daughter one last time, but he seemed disappointed not to find her there. Since then, Linda and Mark hadn't had any more children, and I couldn't help but see it as poetic justice. I would lose faith in any god that would repeatedly bless such irresponsible people with children. However, I remained grateful that they gave me Karen. You're not asking for money again, are you? I asked skeptically as Linda began her plea. Please, I need treatment. I've developed diabetes from binge eating and drinking. I can't work, and the treatment is expensive. We may not be blood related, but we're still sisters, right? Help me, she pleaded, her gestures seeming insincere. I began by returning the $50,000. Linda looked confused. You didn't read the promissory note, did you? I guess you don't have it anymore. That money is a settled issue, isn't it? It's insincere to bring it up now, she retorted, her tone grating on my nerves. Irritated, I decided to enlighten her. I only waived the money I paid for your hospitalization. I never said anything about waiving the loan you misunderstood. And since we couldn't find you, we gave up. Remember, I said I'd take the hospital and surgery expenses as severance. You haven't repaid the money you embezzled, but now I can claim it, I explained. Linda, defiant as ever, responded, I came here because I have no money, and now you're going to bill me? Just then, the door of the next room swung open, revealing Karen. Dignified even with pain etched on her face, Karen had inherited all the good features from Linda, making her an extraordinary beauty. Is that Karen? You've grown? Linda exclaimed, attempting to regain control. Look, you can tell, right? She's grown up to be so much like me. Karen's disdainful look was palpable. Who are you? She asked coldly, her tone cutting through the tension. Karen, don't talk like that. She's your mom, Linda insisted. Karen pointed at me and Henry. Mom is right here, and Dad is next to her, she declared firmly. I felt tears welling up. I had become a doting parent too, something I never thought would happen. Besides, you have a $50,000 debt and are getting divorced, right? How are you going to raise Karen, who still needs a wheelchair? I interjected. Mark can take care of it, Linda replied arrogantly. Of course, he can't defy me. Seriously, is she an idiot? She muttered under her breath, unaware that Karen was already defying her by going through divorce proceedings. Then, unexpectedly, Mark stood up, declaring, "Enough is enough. I'm fed up. I can't stand it anymore, Sarah. I'm sorry for everything. I promised to pay off the debt." Mark, who had always been submissive, was now red-faced and angry at Linda. "I'll take over the compensation money for you and start over. The debt is only being shouldered temporarily. I don't want to trouble Karen anymore. Even if I'm a failed father, I must take responsibility." Addressing Linda directly, Mark continued, "I heard from friends that you've been bad-mouthing me behind my back. Now you have zero fans. You're betraying me too." Linda tried to act tough, but Mark's words seemed to hit her hard. Her face turned bright red as Mark turned to us and said he would contact us later, then left. While I didn't sympathize with Mark, I hoped he wouldn't be brainwashed again by Linda. Then Henry dropped a bombshell. "By the way, Mom and Dad know about your current debt. They told me not to come out today. They didn't want to see their own daughter's downfall and wanted to protect my son." Linda had misunderstood. Not wanting kids and being unable to have them are entirely different. "We just chose not to," I clarified. I patiently explained the adoption to Linda, informing her that she no longer had parental rights. Linda blustered one last time before finally relenting. As she left in a hurry, I showed her a video site featuring Karen. "What's this? Why is Karen in it?" Linda asked. "Karen has perfect pitch. We made videos of her playing impromptu piano pieces as part of her rehabilitation, and they went viral. She's now a famous influencer for her beauty and talent," I explained. Since then, Mark had apologized and worked hard, borrowing money from my parents for the job they'd helped him get. My father trusted Mark and decided to lend him the money interest-free, with a promise that Mark would pay back monthly. Now Linda, with no one to turn to and estranged, was reportedly suffering from diabetes and living on welfare. She was unrecognizable from her days as an internet idol. I had initially thought Karen would thwart my dreams, but thanks to her, my dreams had come true. Karen had received numerous invitations to perform worldwide, not just as a wheelchair pianist, but for her pure talent. My dream was to travel the world, and I fully support Karen as her manager, I proudly declared. As Karen's popularity soared, she often returned to America to spend time with the family. Recently, Karen thanked me out of the blue. "Because of you, Mom, I have this life. Your kidney inside me will never be apart, and that makes me happy." These words from Karen were what I had longed to hear, echoing my own feelings towards my birth parents. Karen's music continued to enrich the soul, and I couldn't help but feel vindicated. If Linda hadn't been so twisted, perhaps her life would have been different. Without even seeing them, I felt I understood the likely unhappy lives of my birth parents. Karen had truly become a beacon of light in our lives.